Welcome back to another edition of It's All Good. I'm Adam Cox, live from Wichita, Kansas. With me via satellite is my life coach and best friend, Dr. Eric Lane from Tucson. Looks like you got a new hat. What's that hat?
I got my Puma hat. I'm going square hat. Remember years ago when I wouldn't square them off? I had to round them like a baseball hat. I'm going square
Yes.
because my kids say it looks goofy to have my hat like this.
So
So
you felt the temptation. You felt the peer pressure.
yeah, they won't let me go if I roll my hat anymore. I have to be Ricky Fowler. I think this is a Ricky Fowler hat. Actually, I think he's a
Is
Puma
it
guy.
really? My son told me that I can't wear different. Like if I wear a Nike shirt, then I have to wear Nike shorts, Nike socks, and Nike shoes. He doesn't let me mix match. Like I had Under Armour shoes on with Adidas shorts, Adidas socks, and a Nike shirt, and he went crazy. I didn't really know that was a thing. So
Well, he
I'm
could have
excited.
loaned you some shoes because when I was at your house, he had a lot of shoes hanging out there on that shelf.
Yeah, 17-year-old kid boys that play basketball love shoes. That's the one thing they have. By the way, as you can see, I'm wearing my Raiders shirt, which makes me extremely happy. And let me tell you why. I'm a Raider fan that lives in Kansas, and everybody here is a Chief fan. But I have found a few Raider fans that live here that's called my radio show just to say that I'm not the only one because I talk about the Raiders. But the Raiders have been terrible for a long time. They got such a bad rap about being a terrible team and dirty and cheating and all that stuff. This year, my prediction is that my Raiders will be in the Super Bowl this year. And I'm glad that we're taping this in August or into July because that's just telling you that this is going to come true and we can go back to this tape.
So we're gonna have a bet. I'm gonna bring out. If you look behind me, I've got I got Mr. Perfect here. So Mr.
Oh
Perfect.
no!
So Mr. Perfect. My wife gave me Mr. Perfect. So I'm gonna let. And the reason she gave me this is good for our It's All Good broadcast.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let
really.
Mr. Perfect, who's a Vikings fan, as you can tell, he's sporting his Viking helmet today. He's gonna
Yes.
share with you a little thought about. So if your wife gets you one of these, this is why.
I'll be driving you to work today because I'm taking your car in for service.
We'll let him give you another couple statements.
Baby, I've arranged the spa day for you next Saturday at your favorite salon. Sweetheart, your hot bubble bath is ready.
So there we go. If I need to know what to do when I get home, I just press Mr. Perfect's hand. And
Those are
then,
words. Hey, those are words that have never come out of my mouth. But I need to start. I need to start being like Mr. Perfect. That is incredible. But I did notice that he's a Viking. So the bet is that the Raiders will do better than the Vikings. Is that the bet?
yeah, we'll have that bet, and the loser will shave his head.
Oh no, I can't shave it. Yeah, you shave your head bald all the time. That's not a big deal for you. This
That's
is
true.
my livelihood.
I don't have any hair, so even when it's growing out, there's not a lot on top. So
Let me just tell you, I don't think I have the right head to have a shaved head. It would be people would make fun of it. I'm sure.
I'm not sure anybody has the right head for a shaved head.
All right, so let's start talking about positive things and things that are good in this edition of It's All Good. So you and I both love to go to the beach. We both love Newport Beach, Laguna Beach, Southern California beaches. To us, we love it. We've been there a bunch. The one thing is, I love getting in the water. I love boogie boarding. I love body surfing. I love being around the waves. Right. There was one time in Laguna Beach that I got into the beach. I got into the water, and it got a little rough. The waves got rough, and there's a rip curl that came, and I got out before the rip curl come. My wife, who by the way does not like getting into the water, she'll get her feet wet and that's it. So I told her, I said, just get in the wave at least once. So the wave came and got her, rushed her back out. So then she got caught up in the riptide, and I had to grab her before it started to go because they had flags that just had come out. So I'm reading this story, and the story happened in Panama Beach in Florida, where there was a whole family that was out in the riptide, carried them away. And the people that were on the beach could see that this family was getting taken out. You might have seen the story because they did it on Good Morning America. But 80 beachgoers got together and they formed a human chain where they were hanging on to each other all the way out into the riptide so this family could grab a hold and pull themselves all the way. And then one by one, they pulled the chain back in. Everybody was safe. And I thought to myself, when I'm on the beach, I'm there to lay out and get sun, to play smash ball, to get on the water and stuff. For people, again, we talked about this in the last episode. The people who look out wherever you're at, the message is to be aware of your surroundings and who needs help and what to do. This is a great example of doing that.
Yeah, I think that opportunities arise every day for us. I think if we wake up in the morning and whether we have a prayer or we just have a thought process to get us going in the day, if our thought process can be, help me see somebody in need today, put them on my path, and allow me to be able to do something. Now, sometimes it might just be a smile. It might be a pat on the back. It may be helping them with a child onto an airplane or a backpack. We had a lady with 3 small children this last weekend. But I think if we have that mindset when we wake up, I can promise everyone that we're going to have multiple opportunities to do something. It may just be letting somebody in traffic, but it changes the whole perspective of your day if you say, allow people to get on my path today because I do want to serve people, and your days will be 100-fold better than any other day you've had. So that mindset, if we start out in the morning, it's all around us, but we become so self-absorbed and sometimes so stressed that we just are in tunnel vision and we're not looking for opportunities. If we look for them, we'll find them, and those things make us a lot happier than the other things we think will make us happier.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm switching gears to another story because on It's All Good, on our podcast, we talk about, like, when you turn the news on, there's a lot of negative and bad things on here. When you turn on our podcast, you're only going to hear positive things that can help you be a better person by listening to these stories and then thinking about, oh, yeah, if I was in that situation, would I be doing that? And maybe tomorrow a situation will come up where you're like, oh, my gosh, I'm gonna help this person. So think about this. How many times have you been driving in your car and you've noticed somebody on the side of the road, flat tire, or their car, they have their roof of their car or whatever, the hood of their car up, their smoke? How many times do we think to ourselves, I would help that person, but I'm in a hurry to get somewhere? It's gone through my mind a million times. Do I pull over and help this person, or do I have to get to where I'm supposed to go? So I think about a lot of scenarios. Nowadays, it doesn't seem like it's safe to help people. It feels like if you pull over, it could be a trap. Somebody can come out of the bushes and grab you. There's all kinds of weird things that in the day and age that we live in now that really do tricks on your mind about helping people, especially on the side of the road. Especially in that movie where, what is that? Something About Mary, where Ben Stiller picks up that hitchhiker and he turns out to be a murderer. One of the funniest scenes ever in a car. I just cannot stop laughing when I think about that. But I've never picked up a hitchhiker only because I've been scared that something like that would happen. So I'm reading this story about in Philadelphia on Highway 95, a married couple was on their way to go elope to get married. And as they were driving, their tire blew. And they were on the side of the road. And nobody to help them. An Uber driver, speaking of Uber, before I get to this story, I've never taken an Uber. I don't have Uber on my phone. I know you have to have an app, right? Have you Ubered before, Eric?
No, I have patients that are Uber drivers. I've never gone on an Uber. I've never been in an Uber car. I really have hardly ever been in a taxi, let alone an Uber car.
Me too. So I'm not a taxi person. I'm not an Uber person, but there's people who live by Uber. I mean, they take Uber everywhere from airports. So this Uber driver in Philadelphia is driving along and spots this couple. He pulls over and says, "What's the deal?" And they told him, we were trying to go get married and we can't get married because our car broke down. That this Uber driver said, "I will take you to where you're going." And this is an hour away. I don't know how much money that would be to take an Uber an hour away, but I'm pretty sure it would be pretty good amount of money. So this Uber driver says, "Get in the car and I will take you to this place where you're supposed to get married, but you have to do me one favor." And they said, "Okay, what's that?" He goes, "You have to let me be the witness of you two getting married." He didn't want any money. He didn't want anything else. He just wanted them to be able to be happy to be married. That he spent an hour of his time, took himself off the clock on his Uber, did it for free, and got to witness them being married. And I thought to myself, there's so many good people in our world that we never get to hear of, that we always hear bad news. That's one of the reasons we do this podcast is it's all good. Is those kinds of things inspire me to be, like we've been talking about, be more open, helping people. What about you, Eric?
Yeah, my dad taught me a valuable lesson growing up is, whenever he looked for opportunities, we didn't hear a lot. In fact, he had a filing cabinet of people he had helped that wanted loans that he knew weren't loans. He said, these are just gifts. But he said, always when you go do something for somebody else, if you want to share it with other people, go ahead. That's your reward. You'll get it right then. You'll get the praise and you'll get. But he said, I like much better to just do it because I find that the reward is much greater. And we talk about karma. We talk about people say the universe. I know you and I just believe that when we're in that mindset, it all comes back to bless our lives one way or another. I think that when we get in the habit of just doing things and not counting and not making a list every day, because sometimes we feel like life sort of stinks a little bit, and we're like, why should I go do this? Because we sort of keep score. But if we stop keeping score and we just go out and serve anybody and everybody we can, we'll find that our lives will become measurably better. Very quickly. I mean, all of these people that are the happiest people I've ever been around, they serve the most. And just like this guy, and they just do something for fun. Just put me I want to be in your wedding photo 50 years from now. So just fun stuff like that. The attitude of it, how much better, they could have given him $100, but that's more satisfaction for that story, the rest of his life to talk about that, than whatever monetary amount they would have given him.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so before we go in this episode of It's All Good, and make sure you share this with all your friends, pass the word along. We want as many people in our country or world to be able to think about doing things for others and being able to help ourselves feel good, because when we do good things for other people, we, like Eric has said, we actually feel good. And the last thing is, Eric has an exercise for us to do, red light, green light. Now, when I played red light, green light when I was a kid, my sisters would always say, all right, red light, that means stop. Green light is go. And as soon as they said red light, I'd have to stop. And if I moved just an inch, they would kick me out of the game. It used to tick me off. So I'm sure that when we talk about red light, green light, it has nothing to do with me moving forward. Is that right?
No, nothing. And I have to give credit to Dave Blanchard again. I use Dave a lot. Dave's a phenomenal coach. It's in his book, Today I Begin a New Life. But what he does and what you want to do going through this week, it's a very simple exercise, is all this is going to do is find out how we are how we are in life at looking at other situations. So every time you see another individual, if you think a positive statement like, boy, they're just great, I love them, look at that guy, that gal, what a great father, a great worker, that's a green light. You get a green light for that. If you think something negative, too fat, too skinny, too many teeth, too little hair, if we're critical in any way, it's a red light. You just want to do this for a few days because we want to become aware of where we are mentally. I'm a Seinfeld guy. I love Seinfeld. It makes me laugh. I watch things that make me laugh. But if you've ever watched Seinfeld, they don't really, it's a lot of red lights, even though I don't mind somebody poking fun at me because I laugh too. But I think we live in a world where a lot of times it's easy to laugh at other people's misfortunes and other people's circumstances. So for me, the first time I did this, even though I was laughing most of the time, and you and I have been around, it's not like I'm being upset. I found that I'm finding things that sometimes I need to find a better thing than what I'm looking at. So just play that game this week just to see where you're at. A lot of people within a day or two, they're just so frustrated because there's so much red. Do it with commercials too. On TV, whatever actor comes in the room, what's your first thought?
And so in your mind, do you keep score? Do you write it on a piece of paper, like how many red lights you got in a day and how many green lights you got in a day, and compare it to later, or what?
Yeah, you just want to sort of evaluate it. It doesn't take long. Within usually a half a day, you'll find that most of the stuff we see is red. And it could be the driver in front of us. Instead of saying, what a great driver. Yeah, that guy can't drive. Why is he in such a hurry? But we live in a world that, you flip the news on and it's all red lights. There's no green lights.
Yeah.
And that's why our vision is to have really, 12 to 24-hour networks that allow people to improve their lives. I mean, and you have things focused on health, fitness, attitude, learning, because there's so much negative. There's just not a lot focused on positive. We don't have anywhere to turn. That's why It's All Good is here.
Yeah. And by the way, okay, to wrap this up, you're wearing red. So that in my mind, I'm thinking you're a lot more red than I am. I'm more green. I think black is closer to green, and you're wearing red. And I'm more green, you're more red at this point.
I would agree. I got to do better. I'm getting better, but yeah. But I laugh. At least I'm laughing when I'm doing the red because I think it's fun. Heck, I'm a chiropractor, and one of the funniest episodes of Seinfeld is when George goes to the chiropractor and they're making fun of it the whole episode. I thought it was hilarious.
Everybody makes fun of chiropractors.
That's
Just
right.
how it goes. All right, well, listen, it's all good. Spread the word. We'll see you next time.